Recording. Okay.
Okay. Call meeting of the Highway Commission to order. Sarah, would you please call the roll?
Yes. For the record, the State Highway Commission is assembled in McCook Community Hospital in McCook, Nebraska. The date is Friday, October 22nd, 2021. Time is 8:30 a.m. A copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted in the room, and we are having a virtual component to this meeting. Commissioner Koppel. Oops. Commissioner Koppel.
Present.
Commissioner Grinsey is absent. Commissioner Legreen.
Here.
Commissioner Fagerland. Commissioner Hawks is absent. Commissioner Wolford.
Here.
Commissioner Gertis.
Here.
Indig.
Here. Okay. This is a little different. The Highway Commission can do virtual meetings past COVID. We actually passed a law 15 years ago or to the legislature that we could meet virtually a couple times a year, but this is the first time we've done it to this extent, so please bear with us. I think we'll get it worked out. For the meeting, there'll be a short presentation from our director and the district engineer on what's happening in District 7. And then we will get to probably the most important part, which is the public input part of the meeting. So with that, we'll get on with the business meeting and get started. Approval of the meeting minutes from September 17th.
I so move.
Second. Okay.
Commissioner Koppel.
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Fagerland. Still having sound issues. Commissioner Wolford.
Yes.
Commissioner Gertis.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay. Introductions and announcements. Kurt, would you like to introduce the District 7 staff that's here?
Yeah. In the back here, we have Drew Wilson. Drew is our district construction engineer based here in McCook. And in the back row, we have Kelly Doyle. Kelly is the district operations and maintenance manager for District 7.
And John, the central staff, would you like to introduce? We have the central office staff.
Yeah, I believe we have Khalil and Jabber in the back. He's my deputy director. Sarah is you're familiar with and assisting the commission.
And we also have Joe Warning with the FHWA in attendance, Federal Highways. Okay. So let's move into the regular business, the director's remarks. John?
All right. Good morning, everyone. It's great to see good attendance here. This is my first time ever being in McCook. Even though I'm a Nebraska boy, I came from Iowa about, I worked there for 30 some years. Now I've been director here for about a little over 6 months now. So it's a pleasure being here. Hopefully I get to see some of the landscape as I leave. I got in about 9 o'clock last night, so it was a little dark to look around and see. So basically I was focusing on pavement lines trying to get here. But welcome everyone, and it's my pleasure to be here. I just have a few comments. We're finishing up on our construction season, but this isn't a time to let down in terms of our commitment to buckling up and putting our phones down. Safety is really a primary concern for the agency as we look at our highway projects, and I encourage you all to be diligent about that as we use our highway system. I just signed a certification last month. We need to survey and see how many people are using their seatbelts. I've got some great news that we did increase, but really probably not enough. We were at 80% and now we're right around 81% in usage. And I'd like to get that up, and I know how it becomes even more difficult in the wintertime when you got your bulky coats on and everything else. It makes it a little bit more difficult to use that seatbelt, but please use it. Yeah, we would appreciate that. Another activity that we're working on, this is really, even though we're closing up a busy time of the year as we're preparing for the next year, and also different types of reports that we need to provide to the legislature. So one of those is called the Needs Assessment Report, in which we testify before the Appropriations Committee and the Transportation and Telecommunications Committee about the needs of Nebraska's highways for the next 20 years. So we look at all of our data in terms of the condition of our assets and expansion of our system based on comments such as yourself as what people would like to see in the system, and put that information together. And so if you want a rough number, it's roughly around looking over 20 years, about 20 billion. So it takes quite a bit to maintain and operate our system. Another aspect of that is we have to give a report on the Build Nebraska Act, in which there's a 1/4 cent sales tax that's been appropriated for highway projects, and probably consideration was more towards or at least capacity expressway type work. And there's also another act, Transportation Innovation Act, in which 2 cents is also given to the department looking at capacity projects, county bridge projects, and economic development. We also have to give a report on where we are with the expressway system, what progress we're making there. That will be presented to them December 8th, so that'll be my first opportunity to give that report. Hopefully it goes well. If get any tough questions, I'm going to give them all to Khalil. So on that. So another thing, next week, several of us will be going to San Diego. There's an annual meeting with AASHTO. AASHTO is the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials. We meet with the other 50 states and discuss national policy issues on transportation. So it was virtual last year, so things are starting to get back together. We're pretty excited about being able to meet our peers in the other states and look at transportation on a national level. Additionally, in the beginning of November, I will be hosting an event with my senior leadership, about 30 of our senior leadership on a retreat to just review the vision and mission of the agency and evaluate where we've come in the past and get ourselves together to really look at the needs of today and the needs of the future, and how can we serve Nebraska's citizens better. What are the changing issues out there? Many things are occurring. It's rapidly changing. You're seeing issues with transportation logistics, freight hauling. We're seeing issues with more vehicles having sophisticated technology, ultimately going up to, if you want to call it driverless. I don't think that's going to happen soon, but there's going to be much more that I think is beneficial in terms of vehicles being able to talk to each other. And so how do we handle that data and use it successfully? We've seen in the wintertime where there's collisions out there where there's just a whiteout condition. Wouldn't it be great if a vehicle hits that condition and can warn you, and you might be 2 miles behind it and you're coming up to it? And so how can we use technology that way to provide you information to allow you to be safer as you're driving? Another aspect is we let our last project on the work that we're doing this year for 275, not the last project for all of 275 corridor, but the Scribner bypass was recently let. We're happy to say it came in under estimate by about $3 million. And so we've got between Scribner and Wisner about $150 million worth of work that'll be going underway here. And that was close to our estimate, so we're pretty excited about that and have got some good contractors working on that. The last comment has to do with federal legislation and transportation bill. We're still on hold. If you read the paper, if you're a transportation geek, you can see that it's getting hot and heavy. We did get an extension in terms of funding, at least federal highways, so Joe can continue to come to work I think he was looking forward to his vacation, but they said, nah, we're going to make you come back here at least for 30 days. So the extension's to the end of the month. So they're under crunch time again. Whether we see an actual bill that gives us extended funding over the years is yet to be seen. But I think at this point, it's anybody's guess. I think you know who the different players are between in the Democratic Party with the progressives and the moderates and the different things that they want and tying it to the overall larger budget package. So hopefully we get some clarity here. The meeting in Nashville next week, we'll have national leaders from Federal Highway and USDOT. Pete Buttigieg will be there also, giving his perspective. So hopefully we'll have some more information on that. And those conclude my comments.
Okay. I do want to thank everybody for coming this morning. I know it's an issue to come out to meetings like this, but your input does make a difference. And my experience with the department, they actually do listen to the public. So we are very much looking forward to your comments this morning. And also I want to thank the community hospital for giving us the space to hold the meeting. So with that, I turned over to Kurt for the District 7 presentation.
Thank you, Greg. All right, well, welcome, good morning. There's 3 topics I want to cover for you today. I want to talk a little bit about our accomplishments in District 7 for this past year. And then we're going to talk about upcoming projects, specifically the fiscal year 2022 program. Those are projects that we've let most of them now, and we've actually started work on 1 or 2 of them. And then lastly, I'm going to give a brief update on the Super 2 between McCook and North Platte. That'd be Nebraska's very first Super 2. All right, before we get started, just some quick demographics for the audience. Nebraska is divided up into 8 districts in our DOT, and we are the Southwest District, the 13 counties in Southwest Nebraska, as shown here on the map. We have a fairly large geographic area with a small population and fairly diverse traffic numbers too, ranging from under 100 vehicles a day on Highway 18 to 14,000 vehicles a day on US 6 and 34 right here in McCook. Jumping right into what we've done this year contract-wise, on Highway 61, we've resurfaced 10.6 miles. This is our Chase to Perkins County Line North project. This project is southeast of Grant, Nebraska. We resurfaced Highway 61. This pavement was 26 years old, well beyond its expected life span, had become rough. And we also widened this out to 28 feet. Our standard roadway is 24 feet, so basically constructed a 2-foot surface shoulder. And this shows you what before and after, kind of shows you how that 28-foot top helps out. As I said, this pavement was in poor condition, but you can also see shoulder drop-offs are an issue. And this is something we work on continually throughout the year. But in many areas where there's a lot of ag traffic, it's just a never-ending battle. After a while, you're not only dealing with a shoulder drop-off, we start losing some of the width of the roadway. So here's the photo taken earlier this week. This is the finished product, sans the pavement markings. We don't have the permanent pavement markings down. As you can see, we've actually added 2 feet on either side of the road. It's a real help in our roads that are heavily traveled by wide ag equipment. Moving down to Hitchcock County on Highway 25, our Trenton North project. This started just south of Trenton, just south of the Republican River, and continued through Trenton up 9.2 miles to the US 6 junction. We're in the process of resurfacing this road as we speak. This is another one that we widened out to 28 feet. We also are doing some repair work and preservation on the two bridges down here. This is something we like to do when we're doing a resurfacing project. We want to make sure that we address our bridge needs while we're there. We want to get as much life as we can out of our bridges. The bridges we're building today, there's no reason they shouldn't last 100 years if we do these strategies. Also, while we're here, we're modifying the US 34 junction. The northeast corner of the US 34 junction in Trenton, there's a truck stop there. We increased the radius in the northeast corner so trucks can make that corner easier. We had a lot of trouble with trucks running up over that and actually damaging the storm sewer. And then also, whenever we go through a community, if our project interrupts the pedestrian path, we update all the curb ramps to meet the ADA standards. So that was done as well. Here's a before and after photo, just like the last project on the right side, or the left side, excuse me. You can see this roadway had a lot of patching on it. This is another one that was at its end of its life. I believe this pavement was 22 years old. And here's a photo from, I believe, Tuesday or Wednesday this week in the same area. We just have the first of two lifts of asphalt done, the bottom lift. And I believe the bottom lift probably today will be finished all the way from Trenton to US 6. And then we'll jump down this weekend to begin work in Trenton if we don't get there today. Moving further east, our Oxford North project on Highway 46. This is a 5-mile long project that addresses the pavement needs between Oxford and the US 6 junction. And then also there's just under a mile on US 136 that's actually within the town of Oxford. Resurfacing project, culverts and minor grading, and then repair and preservation strategies like the other projects that take care of bridge needs. Once again, we want to get as much life as we can out of those bridges. The only one bridge is actually in the resurfacing area. I believe it's Dry Creek in Oxford. Between Oxford and Orleans, however, there's 6 additional bridges that while we were close, we're doing this resurfacing strategy on those. We actually had an emergency overlay in 2016 when the pavement failed on this project. Since it was an emergency, we didn't have time to address the bridge needs, so we're getting to them while we're there. Once again, we're going to address the ADA upgrades that is needed in Oxford, and I believe that work has been completed probably as of yesterday. Here's the project. It's not quite done. The pavement is done. On the left, you can see in Oxford, pavement's had a lot of patching over the last few years. And then on the right, there's a finished product, sans the pavement markings. I believe here we also have some seeding to do yet and some concrete flumes to build before we wrap things up, probably in the next week, wouldn't you say, Drew? Yeah. Moving further east, 83, our Holdrege South project. This project resurfaced 9.4 miles of 183 from just south of the Highway 4 junction up into Holdrege. As I said, resurfacing project, culverts and grading. The grading we did on this project allowed us to eliminate almost all of the guardrail. That's something we always look at. Is it feasible to remove the guardrail? Is it economically a better deal to remove the guardrail and do some grading to allow that, or to replace the guardrail? In this case, most of it, our analysis showed it was cheaper to remove the guardrail. Also have one structure right just south of the junction that we're doing the preservation strategy. And then the last thing I want to touch on here, within the city of Holdrege, we're converting a short 4-lane section to 3 lanes. When the rest of US 183 was reconstructed in Holdrege several years ago, it was built to a 3-lane standard. So what this will do, this will help driver expectation. When you enter Holdrege, you'll be in 3 lanes all the way through. The other thing about converting from a 4-lane to a 3-lane, we always look at this when we have a 4-lane section where the 4 lanes aren't warranted by traffic numbers. And the reason we do this, FHWA has done a study that shows up to 47% crash reduction by going to a 3-lane. So you might ask, well, why would that be? Well, the first thing, and probably the biggest crash savings that you see in converting to a 3-lane, is you have a dedicated left turn lane. So you're going to eliminate likely rear end crashes. People that are going to turn left are going to be in their own lane out of a through lane. Second thing, right angle crashes. You're probably going to have less right angle crash experience because the side streets, there's fewer lanes for them to cross. So less chance of having a right angle crash. And then perhaps most importantly on this segment, pedestrians have fewer lanes of traffic to cross. And why is that important here? This entire piece is adjacent to the city park, which contains a swimming pool. So a lot of pedestrians, especially children, crossing from West Holdrege to East Holdrege to get to that park. Here's some photos. The before photo on the left, you can see there's been a fair amount of patching done. This project, besides the mainline needing work, the shoulders have been in very poor conditions. I'm sure our attendees from Holdrege can vouch for. So this project is currently being resurfaced. This photo was taken Wednesday. We have the bottom lift done on the main line, and we're just finishing in this photo the reconstruction of the surface shoulder. So this week we'll get back onto, and perhaps today even, back on the main line, building the top lift, and hopefully finish the resurfacing next week or early the week after. I mentioned we got rid of some guardrail. Here you can see where grading is done. This segment actually had guardrail in it. With this flatter core slope, we can get rid of it. Last project for this year I want to talk about, Franklin South on Highway 10. This resurfaced 7.8 miles of Highway 10 from the state line at Kansas up and into Franklin up to the 136 junction. Concrete pavement repairs will also be done within the corporate limits of Franklin. There's Culbertson grading on this that also allowed us to eliminate most guardrail. We'll also do some preservation strategies on the Republican River Bridge within or just south of Franklin. And then, of course, ADA upgrades that we've done on the other projects. Here's some photos. The grading is complete on this project. Here's a before photo. As you can see, steep back slopes. You can see the guardrail here. This guardrail is really, this is like 4 generations back in guardrail. So something we definitely want to update. In most places, we were able to eliminate it by doing the grading. So you see the back slope's been laid back. This will help not only just provide a source of dirt for this fill section, but it also will help with snow control on the west side. All right, besides the work that our contractors do, Kelly's forces do a tremendous amount of system preservation work with our NDOT forces. And this is, like it says here, applying the right repair on the right road at the right time. This is an excellent investment. Nebraskans have always provided a wonderful transportation system. We take that to heart. It's our job to get as much life out of that as we possibly can. And of course, our goal is preventative rather than reactive maintenance. We want to do things that extend the life of the pavement, not react to pavement failures. And here's just some shots of our folks working, pothole patching, crack sealing, chip seals. Those are the kind of things that Kelly's guys do throughout the year. And here's our accomplishments in District 7 this year. Excuse me. Crack sealing, we've sealed the cracks on 172 centerline miles of roadway. We've performed a chip seal on 55 centerline miles. We've done 370,000 square yards of cold milling. That's equivalent to about 50 lane miles or so of roadway, maybe just a little bit more. And then hot mix asphalt, we're a little low on what we normally get here, but we'll have almost 13,000 tons laid by the end of the year. The challenge this year has been our hot mix plants. The only source of hot mix asphalt for us is our portable plants that come in with the contractors to build projects. So we normally do 15,000 or maybe a little more. Just got really late in the year this year. We talked about shoulder drop-offs. Whoops, we did that one. Talked about shoulder drop-offs. This is something that our crews work on constantly throughout the year, but especially in the fall and early spring before we can do other things. We have rebuilt the earth shoulders on 421 lane miles. All right, want to go on to my next topic. When you came in, you may have picked up one of these. This is our program book. And I'm going to go through not all the projects, but the major projects, upcoming ones. I'm going to focus on the fiscal year 2022. That would be our projects that we've just started on or we'll be building next spring and summer. So this is on page 35. This is a map of the projects in the 1 and 5 year program. So the ones in red that have a number by them, that's actually the FY22 projects. We're going to talk about those specifically. In blue are projects that are coming up in the 23 through 27 or our 5 year program. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but let's go left to right, west to east. Starting up in Perkins County on Highway 23. This is our Brandon to East Junction N61 project. We're going to resurface 13.3 miles. This is another one that we're going to widen out to 28 feet. This segment needs continual maintenance on the earth's shoulders, trying to maintain them, so we'll take care of that while we're there. Dropping down right below that into Chase County. We're going to resurface 6.7 miles of what the folks refer to as the Champion Spur, Highway S15A. We'll also do some Culbertson grading. That's another place that will allow us to eliminate the guardrail while we're there. And then we're working with the NKCR Railroad. We'll replace the railroad crossing in Imperial as part of this project. Dropping down one more county to Dundee County, Highway 61, Indian Creek North. We're going to resurface 6.5 miles of this roadway. This segment has been patched for the entire length, probably a couple of times. Moving a little closer to McCook here in Hitchcock County, our Culbertson South project. Here we're going to resurface 10.5 miles. Also going to do some bridge repairs and preservation, although on this one, going to be a little more extensive repairs. The first bridge on this segment, the Driftwood Creek, is going to need an entire new deck. So while these other projects will all be done under traffic with just flaggers and a pilot car, we're going to build a shoe fly around this bridge. And what that is just a short detour right adjacent to the bridge that'll allow traffic to continue to use the highway. That really was our only good option here. There just is not a good detour. You'd be clear down into Kansas on Highway 36. Traffic would be way out of the way of where they would go. The other two bridges on this stretch, the Republican River Bridge and the Frenchman Creek Bridge in Culbertson, will get the overlay strategy like the other projects that I talked about. And then within Culbertson, we have concrete pavement that was built in the 90s. It's still in excellent condition, but we're going to do a little bit of patching and then provide a sealer for that. We want to get as much life out of that as we can. Moving further east, a project that's received a lot of interest, a lot of feedback from the public. US 283, starting right in Arapahoe, just south of the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad crossing, and extending north 10.8 miles. We're going to resurface this segment, widen it out to 28 feet. This is probably the #1 roadway that Kelly works on reshouldering. I hate to think how many times we've reshouldered it over the years. We have one bridge. We're going to do the bridge repair and preservation strategy, and then there's some culverts and grading work to do on this segment. Orleans South Bridges. This is south of Orleans on Highway 89. We have two bridges we're going to replace. This will be, in my career, after we get done here, we'll replace all of the Republican River bridges. This is a 700-foot long bridge over the Republican River. And then just north of that, 3/4 of a mile or so, is the Flag Creek Bridge that we'll replace also. This project is, well, it's an FY22 project. We actually started last month. We're going to work on it over the winter so we can get done by the end of the season next year. Scudder Bridge out of Kansas is the contractor, and they started, I believe, September 20th on the Republican River Bridge. This is done under road closed conditions. We have a detour going over on Highway 89 and then down 183 and then back on 89. The other bridge on Flag Creek, even though the road's closed, there is farm ground here. This is actually Army Corps Engineers ground, but they lease it out for farming and hunting. And so we'll build a shoe fly again on this project around the Flag Creek Bridge to provide local access so those folks aren't landlocked while we're doing it. And our last project I want to cover for FY22 on US 6 and 34, Holdrege to Pump. We'll resurface 7.1 miles of 6 and 34. And then there's some culvert work to do as well. There's 3 culverts on this segment that are rusted out. We want to get to those before we have a pavement need or worse yet, the pavement collapse. We're not quite to that point, but now's the time to do it while we're doing the pavement. So we'll address those while we're doing it. We'll be able to do all that under traffic. These culverts aren't that large and they're fairly shallow, so we'll be able to build them half at a time each day while we're flagging traffic. All right, my third and final topic, and I think the reason several folks are here, I want to give you an update on the McCook to North Platte Super 2. Just for those that may not know what a Super 2 is, this is the first Super 2 Nebraska has ever built, this corridor. The top of the slide, this schematic here is a plan view of the highway. You see the 2 lanes that would exist when we start the project, and we add passing lanes in each direction as needed. And here's a cross-sectional view. This kind of shows how we do this. Those from McCook are probably aware of this because we saw us do it this last year. But where the gray and blue car is, this is the original roadway. Then the surface shoulder over here, and then 2 through lanes of traffic. So in this scenario here, we're replacing the northbound lane. So we would take the surface shoulder out, it would be located right here. We would regrade this and put in pavement that actually would hold up traffic. Paved shoulder is not designed that traffic. And build a new 12-foot lane, and then we rebuild the surface shoulder out here. Obviously, this requires some grading to do. All right, so I said we've started work on this. This project we just finished this spring. This is our Fraser Creek north and south. Here's the start of the project. This project started the year before, and we wrapped things up early this year. These projects between McCook and North Platte, there's actually 6 of them that are being done. The timing of them is based on the pavement needs. When the pavement needs some work, we're going to go ahead and add the passing lanes and convert it to a Super 2. That being said, this was an excellent first project. This is pretty aggressive terrain up here in Frontier County. A lot of hills and canyons, so this is where the passing lanes really shine. Anybody who's driven to North Platte knows you get behind a truck that's slowing down because of the hills. Coming up out of these hills, they're driving slower, and there isn't always a good opportunity to pass. So it's a great first choice. This drone footage was shot, I believe, about 3-4 weeks ago. You see the corn is tasseled out, but obviously it hasn't started to turn yet. So here we're coming up on our first passing lane right here. It's our first northbound one. This project actually constructed 4 of the ultimate 16 passing lanes. So now you can see we have 2 lanes in the northbound direction, 2 through lanes. So there's an opportunity. The right lane is where the signage directs folks to stay in once they're passing. Then you can see at the end of them, we have pavement markings, and there's also signage, these lane drop arrows remind folks to need. And here's the first southbound passing lane. In addition to doing the pavement repairs we need, resurfacing this project and converting to Super 2, this project also, this segment had some erosion issues, so we built some flumes to address that. And then the canyons, there are several of these canyons where the ditch water that drops down and causes erosion, so we had culverts to address that while we're here. We skipped ahead a little bit. Now we're in the second northbound passing lane. Some beautiful country up in Frontier County. This particular segment, you're kind of up on the top in a plateau, but then very shortly you drop down into canyons and
Driving in this area, you're gonna get behind trucks that are probably gonna slow you down. And so we have our fourth and final passing lane, the second southbound one here. Good placement here. You just come up out of the canyon. You probably got behind somebody that's going slower. All right, we don't need to watch all of that, but I want to talk about the overall schedule. Take a look at the entire corridor. This project that we just looked at, as I said, there's 6 projects, Holdrege projects. This map shows the approximate location of the passing lanes. The northbound ones are shown by the yellow symbol here, and the southbound ones are shown with the red symbol. This project we just looked at, this was the third project going out in McCook, our Fraser Creek North and South. Won't be a project this next year in FY22 being built, but the following year in FY23, we'll construct from the north junction of Highway 23 to where the 4-lane divide starts south of North Platte. This will be the longest segment. It also contains 4 passing lanes. The year following that in FY24, we hope to construct Wellfleet South, which will connect on to the project we just looked at and go north to the community. And between 2024 and 2032, we'll construct the remaining 3/4. Like I said, these are being built whenever the pavement needs dictate. Whenever we would have a normal resurfacing project, we'll do the Super 2. So with that, commissioners, I would take any questions you have.
When does enough of the work get done that you change the speed limit? Start looking at the speed limit.
You know, we haven't talked about that. What Greg's alluding to is the statute, I can't remember the LB number, that raised the speed limit to 65 on all highways in Nebraska. Also allowed for Super 2s to be posted at 70 mile an hour. So I guess that's a question that our administration and traffic engineering, we need to get together and talk about. We're certainly not there yet, Greg. I think we'd have to have a significant number of the passing lanes built before we could consider the entire corridor a Super 2. I personally don't want to post individual segments. That's not going to meet driver expectation. We want to have a logical termini for the start and stop of the 70 mile an hour zones. Other questions?
Anything, you did the standards for the Super 2 putting in Nebraska before you built this project we brought up now. I think Nebraska needs to standards Super 2.
I'm not
Have some experience.
Yeah, this was good experience on this project. I'm not aware of anything. We're actually well into design on the last project. So it'd be a little late on that project to modify anything. And we've actually began early design on the third project. So I don't know of anything. Oh, I do have one thing we're going to do. This isn't necessarily a design standard change, but you can see a darker area where the 2 lanes, and that's caused by the way we pave a hot street onto the lane that's already been placed. We're going to require our contractor to do echelon paving. We'll have to have 2 pavers when we get to that area. That'll eliminate that stain on the concrete. You wouldn't think that's that big a deal, but that joint, motorists, as the joints get worn, tend to follow the joints more than they do pavement markings. So that is one change that we've decided we're going to make, is we'll require 2 pavers to be used, pave the through lane and the passing lane simultaneously. That's the only thing I'm aware of. The other project that's under construction is in District 6, north of here. I know, Khalil, are you aware of any changes?
We're not. I think, Commissioner, as we evaluate the segments, I mean, we're going to assist the stand to decide some of the vertical files, try and see if there's opportunity to modify based on what we've learned from the existing ones. For now, probably 2 to 3 segments of those is going to have to be built before we start modifying.
What's the length of the passing?
Good question. I should have covered that. Each one of those is about a mile long.
Can you repeat the question for you?
Oh, I'm sorry. The question was, How long are each of the passing lanes? They are a mile long. Other questions, commissioners?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go to our public input portion of the meeting. This is a recorded meeting, so those of you that wish to speak, I'd like you to state your name, spell your last name, and then if you're representing an organization, tell us who you're representing. And are we gonna pass the microphone? Okay, if you want to speak.
Before we pass the microphone, we
yeah.
did receive one
We
letter.
have one written correspondent.
Yes.
So I'd like Sarah to read that into the record, please.
So Commissioner Wolford received a letter on October 19th from Gerda Vickers. Dear Commissioner, it was my intention to attend the board meeting when it was held in McCook. However, this Friday we are scheduled to be out of town. I just wanted the commission to know how appreciative we are of the Highway 83 improvements. The road has come a long way since the gravel stage, and I know my father would be impressed with the passing lanes and the safety features on the road. Now, if the commission could address how to keep the deer from flying into our car, it would be appreciated. Let that be your next task. When the plans of the improvements were explained 3 years ago, I said that I had hoped we would be alive to view them. We usually travel on the road on an average of 6 times a week, so know that I am still alive and the road is most appreciated. Again, thanks to the commission for their support and diligence in seeing the progress through. Sincerely, Gerda Vickers. And it's Vickers.
Okay. Okay. Who wants to be first?
By the microphone's coming, Director Summer, welcome to McCook. I'll send you an invite to be the Rotary speaker here in the next year or so. So we'd love to have you back out here. But I'm Andy Long, LONG, Executive Director of McCook Economic Development Corporation. I just want to say, we appreciate the Highway Commission meeting McCook and provide an opportunity for feedback from local stakeholders. McCook Economic Development Corporation would like to emphasize some of the work done in Southwest Nebraska. First, it is important for the Highway Commission to finish the Super 2 US Highway 83 project between McCook and North Platte. The addition of the additional passing lanes has made the road safer and more attractive to traffic from north to south. The president of North Platte Feeders, the gasoline terminal south North Platte, Belmont, Parker Hannafin, Next Generation, Van Dietz show major businesses who rely on highway semi-traffic. When considering the hilly terrain and the overall usage to include large ag-related vehicles, it is easy to see the need to finish this project on schedule. The improvement of Highway 83 to a Super 2 makes it more attractive for transportation from Canada to Mexico. Highway 83 is about the midway point between Interstate 25 and 29. With no north-south interstate going through Nebraska, the improvements in our major north-south highways can attract more commerce that provides opportunities to trucking and business site development. In the last 5 years, Next Generation has made over $10 million in capital investments and created close to 10 jobs in the McCook Business Park, with the primary attraction being the location and transportation network around McCook. Based on safety and commerce reasons, I encourage the Highway Commission to continue the Super 2 expansion of Highway 83 south to the Kansas border and north of North Platte, and eventually look at the expansion of US Highway 34 as another attractive east-west option across the state. In closing, I also want to mention our appreciation for District Engineer Kurt Bosberg and the rest of his District 17. They are valuable partners for our region and create strong relationships with stakeholders throughout Southwest Nebraska. It's easy to communicate, get responses, and they're willing to work with us to ensure safe and effective development along our highways. Sincerely, Andy Long. I also appreciate that shoehorn on North 17 because I take that road every day. So thank you for being here.
Hello, my name is Nate Schneider, SCHNEIDER. I'm the city manager for the city of McCook. And like Andy, I want to thank the board for coming out here today. Also, we do appreciate our relationship with Kurt Bosberg, and we're very fortunate to have him out in our district. One of the things I wanted to touch on, we are in the process of looking at the possibility of creating a recreational facility That'd be west of Highway 83 in the northwest region of McCook. Probably just right outside the city limits, probably about a quarter of a mile. And it's very initial. We've got a lot of preliminary things that we're working through right now. One of the things that we're going to be looking at is safety, pedestrian safety, in particular, the recreational area, which is strong usage from children. This is kind of a unique situation because all of our ballparks, all of our practice fields, all those types of facilities, those are located within city limits. This would be a project that would just be outside the city limits. In the future, we'll be in contact probably with the state of Nebraska to discuss the possibility of trying to see what kind of assistance might be available through maybe improving our sidewalk system, making sure that we've got safe crossing between Highway 83, east to west, west to east, and seeing if there may be some funding available, grant funding available to assist with this project. We've talked to Mr. Vosberg in the past about potential safety dollars. This is the first time that we've actually had a particular project that we think might incorporate some safety dollars, or that I guess potential safety dollars might be incorporated into to make sure that we're able to protect those kids that are moving back and forth east and west. The exact location is going to be probably about a quarter mile outside of the city limits. Q Street, West Q Street, and then Drive 716, probably a quarter mile to the west is kind of the area that we're looking at right now. And we are in the very initial stages. Obviously, before we move forward with anything, we've got a lot of things that we need to work through. And we would have to look at the possibility of whether the voters in McCook are interested in this kind of a project or not. But I do think that there's going to be some conversations that we're going to need to have. We have set up a consortium already. There are stakeholders, the hospital, the city of McCook, the school. We've had some other community college has been a part of this conversation. Entities that are interested in helping assist with this project, so it won't just be a city of McCook project. And we really would like to have the state of Nebraska on board for this project as well too. So I appreciate it. Thank you for your time and thanks for coming out to McCook.
I am Brady McConnell, MCCONNELL, from the McCook Chamber of Commerce. And I just want to build upon what the McCook Economic Development Andy mentioned earlier. We want to thank you for all your work and the safety that you provided by putting the Super 2 highway in. We are a hub for commerce for many rural communities, as well as many people commute for jobs to McCook. More than ever, we need employees to come to McCook and help build our community, and just building a safer highway for people to commute in is important to us. Also, more than ever, our businesses are struggling to get inventory in, and having the extra land, providing this extra safety measure will make the transport more attractive to shipping companies. The Super 2 will help gain the safety and attractiveness needed from everything being shipped in and shipped out from our manufacturers and merchants. We have also thought about the safety from an ag perspective. With large and slow equipment, it is a hazard and extremely dangerous without the 2 lanes. I just want to thank you again for the safety and the growth to Southwest Nebraska, and to keep building upon this from North Platte to McCook, as well as from McCook to the state line as well. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Haley Roberson. Hi, Nate. Nice to see you in person. I'm the city administrator in Oberlin, and so Nate's a lot of times my helpline, my lifeline. And thank you so much for the commission. Thank you for coming out here. It is really wonderful. Unfortunately, we don't get our commissioner in Kansas to kind of make the trip. So thank you so much. It's really helpful. I hope that part doesn't end up in the paper because I do need to go to one of their meetings. But And I don't really understand Mr. Vosberg's thinking of, these slow trucks and how you can pass them, because I know I personally am so thankful. It's just the fact of our life in rural Kansas that we're going to be coming to McCook. We're going to be going to North Platte. So having that Super 2 there, and I'm never thinking, oh, I can pass this truck. I'm thinking, he's bearing down on me and I just have a little bit longer to get to the passing lane so I can get over so that they can pass me. And that has been wonderful. Our city car is an elaborate wind-up toy that does best when the wind is at your back. And so I drove that in today, and it was nice once I got across the state line, knowing that I was going to have those passing lanes. So I feel personally so much safer. The Super 2 works. And I'm going to be trying to echo that to KDOT as well. Like I've said before, McCook is a fantastic neighbor to have. Nebraska has been great. And so I hope that we can see KDOT meet you guys right where you're leaving off, because the additional commerce that it brings, the movement of commerce, the safety of our citizens, all rural communities are working hard. I know kind of to tap onto what the chamber had said, we work so hard to get people here and move into these areas to keep our communities vibrant. And then the next step is how are we going to keep them safe? And making sure that Super 2 is here is absolutely doing the job. I hope that KDOT will meet you at the state lines. Thank you so much.
My name is Mike Steele, S-T-E-E-L-E. I'm the, the Vice President of Administrative Services for Mid-Plains Community College. And I want to echo everybody's thanks. Obviously, the project that you mentioned that we've done, just the addition to the Super 2 so far, has saved us a ton of time and made travel a lot safer. Just for a point of reference, because our area, and I don't know how many people are familiar with the size of landmass that Mid-Plains has to cover. So we are covering right at a third of the state of Nebraska as far as education. We have 7 locations, and we range from the South Dakota border up in Valentine all the way down here to McCook, and then over to Imperial, Ogallala, Broken Bow, North Platte. Does that cover them all? I think that covers them. So just if we talk Super 2 for a second, travel back and forth on that is, we've got 12 to 15 vehicles that are traveling weekly, and that's an average. Some weeks it's 20, some weeks it's 25, and that could be the single vehicle I drove down today, or it could be any of the athletic buses that travel up and down that highway. And that's not just Mid-Plains buses. We bring it in all of the teams from western or eastern Colorado and eastern Wyoming to play in McCook, to play in North Platte. So just travel across the highway system is imperative for our student athletes, for the education opportunities that we're trying to provide to the area. We've got commuter students that are traveling all over the highways. So I'm glad to see even all of these other projects that are out there, because we've got folks that, we just expanded our campus in Imperial. So I was down near Highway 61. So I got to live through that adjustment traveling there. But any of that travel is important, not just to Mid-Plains. I know there's some folks that are in Central's area. The ability to get, with the absence of available broadband everywhere, the ability to get to one of our campuses to pursue the education, to pursue the continuing education that local businesses need. And they've already mentioned a lot of the other things that are out there. And I know that Sharon's here from our business and community ed as well. And we're doing a lot of training for business and industry all over the place. And some of it, they're coming to our big campus in McCook or our big campus in North Platte. And some of it, we've got equipment that we load up in vehicles and we take on location. We've got our grain bin trailer. We've got some Amatrol, different pieces of equipment that business and industry use. And we've got to be on the roads to get where we need to get to provide the training that people are asking for. And I know with the big push for H3 jobs, and you can look at our tech programs this year and see how full everything is. folks have got to be able to get where they need to get to either receive the training or update the training. And I know that a lot of Nebraska government entities also have meetings. So you're bringing people in all over the place to have meetings on our campuses as well. I think that covers everything on my list. So thank you.
I'm Linda Taylor, Taylor. I'm a retailer here in McCook. And I want to tell you, we have trucks coming in from all over to deliver a lot of goods to us. It's very imperative when these guys call us and say, McCook, Nebraska, now what's the very best route to get to you? We can tell them where they are in order to get to us. We've run into them coming up from I-70 into McCook because there's a bad stretch of road there on the Kansas side of it. And so I would like to encourage you to look into the future. I know there are a lot of roads needs, but if we can continue the Super 2 down to the Kansas border, that would help a lot in order to get KDOT to bring it up to us from I-70. It is important that we connect between the community of North Platte and down into I-70. There's a lot of truck traffic out there. That's how the goods and services are getting, even from Amazon, they have to bring them in, you know, with UPS or whatever. The other thing is we at least go to North Platte at least once a week, sometimes twice a week we're up there. We do a lot of work in that community. And for my guys that are out there on the road, I can't tell you when they come in at night from a job, they say how nice it was in order to have that passing lane so they could make it home safely, because they're tired after a day's work. I understand it. So thank you for coming out to McCook. One more thing. I do have a problem with the trucks that come over the overpass when they're coming up from Parker or wherever they've been delivering. They have a hard time making that corner where that stoplight is there on 6 and 34 and 83. And if you could do something to improve that corner there, because obviously they're driving bigger rigs. They're not driving little rigs. When they come loaded, and they have a hard time with that. And I've also noticed with those little windmill things that are out there, they can't even make the corner with those blades hardly. So if you take that into consideration and look at maybe doing something with that area, we would appreciate it. Again, I want to say thank you to you for coming out here. I really appreciate you guys coming out, visiting us in McCook, and listening to what we would like to see happen in this end of the state. It means a lot to all of us. So thank you.
Good morning, Russell Cruz, Phelps County Commissioner, CRUISA. I have a question for the board here. Your projected projects for next year, what are you going to do if the oil price doubles? Are you still going to be able to fulfill that? That's what I'm wondering.
I can address that. I can address that, Russ. Our one-year program is pretty much fixed. I mean, we have a financial plan for that. What happens is 4 years down the road, if we end up spending more money, the money will come out of that program. So we're all right for next year. Now I'm going to let Khalil add on to that because there is the issue of the federal funding. So Khalil, I'd like you to address that part as far as our ability to continue to let projects.
You know, since there's some rules about a deputy speaking out in public, you know, I want to first take the opportunity to thank Drew and Kurt and Kelly for the magnificent job they did on the Super 2. They took our vision and put it in reality. So there, I got my plug in while I had the chance. This is an important topic for us because if we don't get an extension, then frankly, we will have some risks on the department and we may not release some of those projects to letting. Obviously, you know, we get over $300 million worth of federal funds into our program. And so if there's no extension, and not just an extension, but also some sort of a transfer from general fund to the trust fund because the solvency issue is still a problem for us. That will force the department to assess just what type of projects will be turned loose and award further. So stay tuned. Hopefully our friends in DC will take care of us and we don't have to worry about it. But if they don't, we will be assessing. Yeah.
Going once, going twice? Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Really appreciate your attendance. Time now is actually allow time for remarks from the chair. And I guess I do have one question for the department. This is the second meeting I've been to where McCook has requested that we add the segment from McCook to the Kansas line to the Super 2. And to my knowledge, there's been no response back from the department on that. And I guess I would ask that, does McCook need to put something official in writing from an entity to do this, or how do we get, I understand funding is going to be an issue. You have to fund it in the out years somehow, but how do we make that happen? So maybe this goes to Khalil, since you're the deputy in charge of planning.
Well, I think, these are public records and these requests, we're aware of the request from the last time. Obviously, the dilemma for us is we still have to address some of the Super 2 further north. We committed as well to the Heartland Expressway group from Chadron north to South Dakota. So we've identified a few segments. I think it will surface on the planning horizon before too long. We just, as an agency, we continue to we want to make progress on some of the prior promises that we made, and just to extend the promise. And one that says, hey, we're going to go do this tomorrow, is probably not a practical approach on our behalf. We know BNA and the NDOT is still a topic that we need to understand what our legislature is going to do. The BNA itself will expire in 2033. So we're mindful of those different sort of restriction on our program and what to do after that. So with the expressway and some of the escalating prices, that's really the reality of what we're dealing with. So the request is, you don't need to formalize it. It's been received. I'm not sure that Kurt will ever let us forget that is still requested from the community. But Commissioner, I don't know if we can formalize it in a response and say such and such years we will have that. I think we'll keep our eye on the pavement and see when the next opportunity, if there's anything that we can do. Coordination with the district program, maybe that would be an opportunity.
Okay. And to add to that, timing is great because, as I indicated, next week we'll be in San Diego. So Secretary Lorenz will be there. I know Julie. So I can talk to her a little bit as to what Kansas's plans are here and where they are with their planning. So I think we can do some fact finding, look at the pavement conditions, see what Kansas's plans are, and put some of that information together for you to look at.
Thank you.
I have a comment. I'm with District 4, and I really appreciated hearing a little more about Super 8 and so forth. We've got a Highway 30 going from Grand Island actually clear up into Columbus. It's tremendous amount of traffic there, and I know we need to do something there, and there has been a lot of things in the planning. I think at one time we talked about an expressway from Grand Island up into Columbus area. And then when we were talking about a super highway from North Platte to McCook, I questioned just how successful that would be. But from hearing all the comments here today, I haven't driven it, so I can't tell myself. But it really changed my mind a little bit about the Grand Island to Columbus. And because I think it had been, in Cleo, you could probably adhere here, we kind of talked about doing a Super 2 there. So I guess I feel a lot more supportive of that. And I guess, Cleo, I'd like to see it happen. You and John can maybe make it happen. But anyway, thank you for your comments. I appreciate it.
Okay. Next item is the public meetings calendar, Sarah.
The next scheduled Highway Commission meeting is going to be December 11th at 8:30 in the morning at NDOT headquarters in Lincoln. And that's the last meeting of the year.
Okay. All right. Having that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks.